What's going on? I'm Bobby J. This is City Chapters Podcast. We're doing chapter 23 today with my homie, Iyzlow Matisse.
What's up, man? How you doing?
What up, what up?
Good to see you.
Iyzlow is a hip-hop artist. He's a part of the hip-hop duo, Change and Matisse. He's also the co-host alongside ExZac Change for Live from Somewhere.
Yes, sir.
And he's also a jack of all trades. This guy does all the production work for Happy to Be Here podcast and many other things that we're going to learn today. What's up, brother?
Man, you selling me right now. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. It's a lot of hard work, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of a control freak by nature, so I just got to have my fingers in all the pies, man. I got to be doing all the shit.
Yeah,
I gotta have.
I've been that way too, but I'm really that way. I have a hard time letting go of stuff.
Tough,
you know what I mean? But I have been learning. I have to, because, but like in your situation with Happy to Be Here, it's not just you doing the podcast.
No,
you're one dynamic of it. With you and Change, you're one dynamic of it, right? Like half the dynamic. So you have that partnership, like where I don't have partners yet like that in my businesses. And a big part of that is because I have a hard time letting go and trusting people that they're going to do the work the way that I want it to look like.
It's tough.
But I'm learning to let go of that somewhat. But I still always am going to maintain high expectations for the work that I want done.
Yep.
But learning to outsource it. But we were talking off camera about, you may be helping me out. So that's something I look forward to, man. Just getting more social content out surrounding my podcast, because what you do for Happy to Be Here is awesome, man.
Thank you, man.
Lively,
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for the opportunity to kind of build out my portfolio a little bit. So I'm excited to see, what comes from all that. But yeah, kind of what you're speaking on about it being tough to let go of shit. Like when it comes to my vision and what I've got in my head, like I'm just kind of a perfectionist by nature. And it's like I with beats and stuff for music, I've never sat down and learned how to make beats. So a lot of that I have to kind of rely on other people and know what sounds good to my ear and like build songs around that. That's how that's worked. But as far as the art and the graphics and like the visual style of like music videos that we put out or bars, videos, content, whatever it is, or anything for the podcast, like I just am so particular about how I want that to look personally, and so it's hard putting that trust in somebody else. But I see what you're saying though about kind of needing to keep that under wraps a little bit, or kind of see if you can bring that down a little bit. I heard a quote one time that's like, don't let perfection get in the way of good or great. Like if something looks great, don't let your idea of like the perfect version of that like cause you to sit there and nitpick it and hold it back. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to put shit out in the world. You got to take shots. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, because we're our own worst critic, and that has like many facets to it. But when it comes to putting out content or artwork or whatever you love to do, we're people like us especially like highly judgmental of us putting it out in the world. And I think that's really good, but at some point it has to be good enough so you can keep moving forward as well. Like if you're such a perfectionist that you never put anything out because it's never good enough, then you're holding yourself back from progress. And you kind of have to just, like, for me, I've had to learn to just let go a little bit. Like it is good enough. That's something that I've learned to say to myself. It's good enough.
It's good enough.
Like, dude, it's good enough. Put it out.
That
we
one
gotta
quote,
keep pushing.
Not to go just quotes, but that quote and one other quote that I kind of have learned to live my life by is an artist's work is never finished, only abandoned. Which basically means you as the artist are your toughest critic, and you will nitpick some shit over and over again and not put it out because it's not quite perfect or it's not this or not that. You put it out, you got people coming up to you, hyping you up, telling you how dope it is, how cool it is, how much they love it, and you're still looking at like all the little flaws and shit that they don't see. So it's like an artist's work, it's like, this isn't done to me, but I gotta put it out. I gotta abandon this and move on to the next shit. You know what I'm saying?
You do the best that you can with the time that you have that's adequate and acceptable, but then you got to keep moving. Like that's something that I've learned, because I mean, I've struggled with that in city chapters, like not feeling like my clothes are good enough, and that honestly for the last couple of years, like prevented me from taking action and killed some momentum I had in my business.
Sure.
And honestly, I've really just came back to the same place with the same product, but adjusted a few details, but it's really the same, you know? And because I'm like, dude, people loved what you were doing before. And it was you that didn't believe enough, you know? And I noticed details that my customers will never notice. You know what I mean? I can like hyper focus on a certain detail and I'm like, oh man, like it's not good enough.
Yeah.
But that customer that gets that product would never ever see it.
They've never even noticed.
The ones that I've stressed out the most about, and I like either I'll redo it, but the ones that I'm like, it has to, like, it's fine, it's acceptable. I've never ever had a complaint about the quality as far as like whether it was how the letters were angled or, you know, maybe they're off skew a little bit or nobody ever notices that but me.
Nobody's ever going to say anything. Well, because you spend so much time. Like, I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, like, especially when it comes to like design or anything like that. That shit takes so much time to get all the lettering just the way you want it. You know, whatever program you're using to do it. I mean, there's tools now that, you know, computers make shit a lot faster, but like there's so much detail and time that goes into it, and you're spending so much time just engrossed in all that shit that you notice every little pixel that's out of place or every little, you know what I'm saying? And your customers would never even see it. They'd never even notice. They're not going to notice if the graphic wasn't like the 100% resolution that you wanted it to be, or, you know, shit gets weird with exporting. So many things can happen in the process. And yeah, I think it's important to kind of step back and take an objective look at it and be like, okay, you know, is this good enough to present? If there is an issue, we can deal with it at that point. But like, I'm gonna noodle this shit to death, and it's gonna end up worse off because I spent way too much time on it. Like, you cross this line where now instead of working on something to get it to be the best possible quality, now you're just kind of forcing it. You're forcing it because you want it to be better. I've been that way with music or with editing or whatever. Like, I'll sit down to write a verse, and like half the verse will come super easy, and then all of a sudden I'll kind of hit a wall with it, and I'll sit there, and I've sat there for hours trying to force it, trying to come up with the next line, or where does it go from here, or what is this going to evolve into? And anytime I've done that, the result has always been something I'm not super impressed with. So I've started this kind of philosophy in the last like several months to a year, where whether it's music or editing or whatever it is, when I feel myself hit that creative wall, or when it's just kind of I'm not flowing like I was, you know, previously, I will stop and I'll work on something else, or I'll go and take a breather, or I'll go and, you know, just refocus my energy on something else and come back to it when it's flowing, you know?
There's a few things there for me. One is something that I'm interested in practicing in, like Japanese culture. They work 25 minutes straight, 5 minutes off. 25 minutes straight, 5 minutes off. That's like, you get up, you go walk, you do something for 5 minutes, you come back, and it helps, I guess, prevent burnout. Yeah. And you know, you have to, you know, be disciplined in that to implement it, but you know, there's different things like that where, I hit a wall and I'll be stubborn and I want to get past it, or, you know, and that only just causes me to be irritated or agitated.
Which results in a subpar product every time. You're never going to be happy with it. Because even if it comes out looking perfect, you're going to remember all the like anguish you had to go through to get there. And you'll be like, man, fuck this. I hate it. You know?
The other thing, though, that I'm reading The 5 a.m. Club right now by Robin Sharma. Okay. It's a book that surrounds the idea that greatness starts at 5 a.m., getting up at 5 a.m. But I've struggled with sleep my whole life, man. I sleep a lot, you know what I mean? Like, and I have a hard time getting up at 5 a.m. I can get it like right now, maybe once a month.
That's a start, bro. You gotta be proud of that.
You know what I'm saying? But basically, the book talks a lot about a lot of other personal growth matters. And the one thing it talks about is like all greats, they are highly detail orientated. Yeah. Like they do seek that perfection. And like one quote that I remember from it is, it's better to put out one masterpiece in a life than to put out 1,000 average paintings, you know, or art. You know, you can pump out a ton, but you might not be remembered for those. But if you work on one masterpiece your whole life, and perfect that masterpiece, you could be remembered forever for it.
Yep.
And so it's interesting and it gives examples of like other people that were great, like Mozart, and like their attention to detail and how they take it that serious. And they say too, like a lot of people that are highly detail orientated feel alienated because people don't care about the details like they do. And I'm that way. I like what in our terms, I know it's not like some terms of OCD are like, there's some other real problems there. My OCD is like based around things have to be positioned a certain way. Yep. Like I don't like lose my shit if they're not, but I'll have to fix it.
It doesn't feel right.
It'll bother me until I fix it right or whatever. So, and I'm that way with like detail. So like learning to let go of some of that and understanding like, okay, not everything you attempt is going to have a perfect result, but it's the pursuit of doing the best you can to make it perfect. And then accepting that it's never actually going to be perfect most of the time. Sometimes you hit that right spot, but it's not going to be every time.
Or it might just not be perfect in your eyes. There's so many different people in the world. Like,
True. Perception.
In my experience, I've experienced it with like the albums that I've created with Change. Is we'll put out an album, and me and Change, we got very similar styles as far as like the beats we fuck with and what we really enjoy hearing like sonically in the music. So usually when the album is done or when whatever is done, me and him will kind of look at each other and be like, okay, but this song is the best one, right? This is the fucking banger. Like we really did it, you know, big on this one. And we usually agree on that. And then we'll put it out, and inevitably I'll have, you know, 30, 40 different people hitting me up like, oh, this song's my favorite. This one really spoke to me. Oh, I really like this one. And it's like, yo, me and Change kind of weren't even really feeling that one because like we either worked on it a ton and we were just sick of hearing it, or like it's old to us now or whatever. Like songs we weren't even thinking about being crucial to the project, just kind of, you know, putting out music and making a full project or whatever, things that we think wouldn't take off because everybody's looking for something different. So everybody has a different vision of what perfect is. So it's like what my vision of perfect is, even if I think, oh, that didn't come out 100% perfect or that could have been better or whatever. Like I said, you have all these other people that experience it so differently and don't see the flaws. And I appreciate what it's saying in that book about, you know, not oversaturating with undercooked content, and rather than that, spending time, you know, working on the one masterpiece or whatever. I'll say this: I'm good at what I do musically. I'm not Mozart. I know I'm not Mozart. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not painting the Sistine Chapel or you know, with the doodles and graphics and shit that I do. So in my experience in the content creation landscape that we live in, it's important that quality does measure up over quantity, but I couldn't see realistically working on like one masterpiece for the rest of my life. Like,
for sure,
I've got to be out there shooting shots. You know what I'm saying? I've got to be out there crashing and burning or feeling the high of soaring a little bit because something kind of took off, you know, and we're all still kind of learning and figuring that out. So I just think being open to learning and being open to doing something and realizing, oh shit, that didn't really work out how I wanted it to. That didn't go like I thought it was going to go. You know, and then kind of dusting yourself off and shooting more shots is really what it's about for me.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. That, you know, that term is probably unrealistic for most because you have to have a strict vision for what that masterpiece is. That is going to take your whole life. Most people are not going to find that. You know, that's rare. Yeah. But I think it's just more intended to just be curated. I mean, it depends on what avenue you're in. And like you're saying, like you have the demand of what you do to continually put out content. You can't create a masterpiece in every song. You know what I mean? I think all great artists understand that. But like you said, the one that you think is the masterpiece on the album is maybe not the one that people actually like the most in general, you know. And I've heard a lot of other artists say that about their projects, like, oh, we thought this was going to be the one and this one went crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird when that happens. And you just kind of got to go with it too. You know, you end up in these situations where you're like, all right, I mean, if that's what y'all want, I got to give you what y'all want. Like, I really want y'all to fuck with this shit because I love this shit. But if this is what you're feeling over here, then you know, we'll go this way. I think that also the difference is like the access of information and just the broad scope of the world, the internet, the social media, everything like that. These days, it's a lot harder than it was probably back in the days of painting these masterpieces and making music like Mozart and stuff, of really just focusing on one thing. Like back then, wasn't no internet, wasn't no social media, nobody's blowing up like that. So it's like from an early age, you're like, oh, I'm going to be a painter. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to paint my masterpiece. That's what I'm doing. You know, back then, if it was like artists posting their process on TikTok and all this other stuff, like Mozart would have been kicking out, you know, pieces like every 3 a week or whatever, you know. So I feel like the access of information throughout the world has made it a lot harder for folks to just kind of sit down and focus on one thing. And I feel that more than anybody, because anytime I see somebody doing something, whether it's like a woodworking project or remodeling their house or working on a car or building this or modifying that or doing something with a computer or whatever, I'm like, I could probably do that. I could probably learn how to do that. I could go to YouTube University real quick and I could probably do that. So I try that. That's kind of how I became this one-man street team media outlet kind of thing. And you know, shout out to the people that I do work with that do support me and make my job easier. You know, ExZac and Cody on the podcast. Brennan, my guy, does a lot to make my life easier when it comes to that. But I just end up in these situations where I'm like, you know, I could hire somebody to do my album art or my flyer for this show, but I don't know if they're going to match my vision. I'd rather just do it in-house. And now I've like built up this repertoire of doing so many different things myself that it's just like people come to me and they're like, well, you could do it, right? Yeah, I could probably do that, you know? So that's at least how it happened for me and how I ended up doing so many different things.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I mean, to have the bandwidth to and the energy to like focus and do multiple facets takes a lot, you know what I mean? Because I've done it over the years, and sometimes I just burn out, you know, with wanting to try to do and handle all these different things. But I have such a hard time letting go of it too. Like even just now talking about it, I'm like, man, he's right. I should be doing my own clips. I could do it, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't
well,
really
let me sell myself out of a job by inspiring you now.
No, I'm just saying though, you know what I mean? Like,
it's true though.
I have to though, as much as I like think that, it's like I have to let go.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I feel like I have to trust others and delegate, you know, and people that believe and support my vision for city chapters. I've been so closed off to it really throughout the years, like of letting people in and help me, because it's been really just my insecurities are surrounding the brand or the business, which, you know, a lot of people probably don't perceive that I would have that, you know, unless you really know me. But you know, a lot of times people think the brand's way has more people behind it than just one person. And I want to get it to be that place, even if those people don't directly work for the company, like working with somebody like you or working with Brennan. You know, they're not, you guys aren't ever going to be employees of city chapters, but you guys can help my vision come alive. You know what I'm saying? In a different way than I could facilitate my energy to all these facets. Like I tried doing the podcast before. I think I've sure mentioned it on here, but I didn't have the energy to figure it out myself. And Brennan luckily is, you know, taking this podcast on and helped me out tremendously with doing this. And it makes my life so easy. Like it's really how I want it to be. I show up, I record, and I get the files. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful, man.
It's a dream.
So, yeah.
It's a dream. No, that I think that's a kind of a testament to the brand city chapters though, because I know I've experienced the same thing where people are like, yo, who does your album art? Who does this? Who does that? And I'm just like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's also me. That's me. I do that. You know, that kind of a thing. Yeah. And I'm rapping too. You know, like I'm doing all the shit. And so for people to think that you have this team when you're really kind of a one-man operation, it's like, bro, what do you sleep? I know you like sleep. When do you do it though? Because there's some, you know, but on the flip side, it's so hard, man, to build like a reputable team, to get people in place. Like I know I've experienced it with the music thing where, you know, we were doing music in a larger group. Some people wanted to fall back from the music and wanted to still be involved. So it's like, okay, well, maybe you handle booking or management, or maybe you handle social media or this or that. But you got so many people still trying to be kind of like the front man or be in the spotlight and it's hard to kind of transition to a space where you're not in the spotlight or not getting as much shine as the rest of the people or whatever. And me, I'm concerned about the quality of the work. I do like getting accolades and recognition when it's time for that, but that's not what I'm in it for. I'm not like searching for that validation constantly. So if nobody knew that it was me behind the podcast clips doing all that stuff, or behind the album art, or behind this or behind that, I'm fine with that. And I think that that's also kind of been to my detriment a little bit. I should toot my horn a little bit more and maybe try to, you know, drum up some more work and some dollars for myself in that, because I do have a huge portfolio of work that speaks for, you know, my capability in that, and probably need to put myself out there a little bit more. But my point is, when it comes to building a team of solid people that will help you realize your creative vision and execute on it, and not let ego get in the way or whatever, or let bullshit get in the way, or, you know, too much drinking or whatever the fuck it could be, it's just hard to find solid people. So at the end of the day, if you can't find someone solid to rely on to get it done, you either got to take the reins yourself, or it's just not going to get done. So I think that is kind of a testament to how strong the brand is, because I was under the impression that there was more people involved in making it all happen. So you've done an awesome job in you know, putting it out there with quality, you know, and perception, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's taken me a while to get back, but I got a, you know, new energy for what I'm doing here. The podcast helps me out a lot, because, you know, I know this is gonna lead on to greater things for me through this podcast through time.
Yeah.
And connect me just with a lot of people. And, you know, every time I sit with somebody, I'm building a relationship with that person. And, you know, it's just like most people that sit with me, unless they're doing podcasts often, you know, they're not going to have these kind of conversations with most people they cross paths with in the world. So like, we have that special bond after we sit for a time.
Yeah.
And whether how strong or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's just that it happened, and that time we spent together exists. And now you can say that you know me, you know what I'm saying, which helps the brand. Like, I know Bobby from City Chapters. I was on the podcast. I mean, for me and you, we've known each other prior to this, but, you know, for others that don't know me, and I get that opportunity to sit with them, it creates something special. And, you know, I'm promoting a new motto for the brand. It's repping cities, connecting people.
Oh.
And that's really what it's about for me. You know, like, I want people to rep their cities, and I want people to connect with people because of it. Like, if you're wearing City Chapters, or if you know of City Chapters, you listen to the podcast or whatever, it's going to cause people to connect with each other. But especially like if you wear the gear, like I have countless times that people wear City Chapters and they're like, oh man, every time I wear this, somebody's asking me where I got it. You know what I mean? And so I'm really just leaning on that more than I ever have, and knowing like, yo, this is going to work. Like, my doubt needs to be put to the side, and it's good enough.
That's kind of how you have to be, man. That's how you succeed, is just pushing forward and not letting the shit that comes from your own head kind of cloud that direction. And
I struggle with that, man. I struggle with that. I have struggled with it a lot. I'm clearing the air though, you know what I mean? And it's good. So, you know, like, one question for you that I'm thinking of is like, how do you kind of feel you're able to, like, how do you think and gain the energy, or what's your mindset on being able to handle so many aspects of your creations, like for your projects and the podcast? Like, what's your self-talk to get yourself in the zone?
Sure.
How do you go about it?
So it's kind of fucked up, man. I'll be honest with you, but I gotta be honest. I've always had in me a pretty big lazy streak since I was a kid. I've always been, I've, like the dude that chills at the house playing video games or whatever. Like I just, I'm not real. I've always had that in me, and as I've grown into an adult, I've had to find ways to convert that into something that's more productive. So I'm not kind of a piece of shit human, like I got a wife and kids I got to worry about. So I can't be just a dad that sits at home and doesn't do anything. I got to be able to have the energy to chase my kids around and give them a good life and stuff. Right. So the one thing about my laziness and how it manifests is I'm a procrastinator, bro. I'm big at, like, if I know something is due, or I know I got to do something, or I know I got to get clips out for Bobby, I'm gonna wait till the last fucking minute to do it. I'm just being honest with you. But but my thing with that is I have somehow found this way to convert that into like insane levels of production. And so it's not so much a self-talk of like getting motivated and hyped to do it. It's more like a how much time can I spend free time or doing my own thing or whatever, and then like at the last possible second be like, let me just knock all this shit out, because I know I'm under the wire and I know I got a deadline and I'm not going to miss that deadline. I'm not going to fuck it up. So I use that as motivation and fuel to be like, okay, let me go in. I'm just going to spend all day today and knock all this stuff out that I've had pending for like a week that I probably should have spent time on, So if I know something needs to be done, that is really where the fuel comes in. That's like, okay, you're kind of under the gun, under the knife. You gotta just make it happen. And that, more than anything, I think I've cranked out like some of my best work, even more than shit that I spend time on and have time to go back and analyze the details and this, that, and the other thing. So that's also kind of a function that I've had to put into place as far as kind of procrastinating on the work. Because if I don't procrastinate and I start something as soon as you give it to me, I'm going to spend way too much time on every little detail. I really am. I'm going to spend time agonizing over how this little thing looks or that little thing looks. Whereas if I go in with just like, boom, I did not leave myself, you know what I'm saying? I did not leave myself the time to finish this and I got to finish it. Then I'm like, okay, let me get the main points, boop, boop, boop. Everything looks great. And I don't really have the time to go back and agonize over every little detail.
That makes a lot of sense.
So that's kind of how it's worked for me. And so far it's worked. It's a little extra stress sometimes, but that can be good, get your blood pressure up and get you moving. So that's kind of where I come from.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Also, like, kind of just knowing yourself, like I can't give myself that much time. Yeah. Like, because that attention to detail can eat at you. It can. For sure. Well, and also, like, I'm an improviser and a freestyler by nature. Like, Zach will tell you I'm the one that's always like, oh, freestyle's going on, I'll jump up and do it. I'll get it. I do the out of the bag thing. I love that. Dude, that's so awesome. When my back's against the wall and the pressure's there and it's like, okay, go time, motherfucker. Like, do or die. You got to do it. Like that is where I find the fun and the motivation, and like, oh, this is like a dangerous game to me. I'm walking a tightrope right now, or like I have to do this now, or it's not going to get done, or people are going to be mad, or I'm not going to get the check, or whatever. So, well, for people to know, what are some of the trades that you have acquired, so people know like what you're capable of? Bro, I'm capable of greatness, man. 100. No, I mean, like I said, I'm a improviser by nature. So I started out like, at a very early age. Like, I think back to like high school when I was like 15, I was kind of like a drama kid. I thought maybe I wanted to act or something like that. And then they offered improv classes, or like an improv group, like Whose Line Is It Anyway kind of stuff. I did the same stuff. I started doing that, and we started putting on improv shows, and like they were super successful. People were coming to the high school to check them out and stuff. And then back then, like Wild and Out was getting popular on TV, and I'm like, they're doing freestyles and rapping in their improv stuff. I'm like, let's incorporate that into the show, because I was kind of dabbling in just starting to write verses and stuff. And so we started doing that, and that started going off. And then I started, freestyling at parties and doing little shows and stuff when I was like 16, 17. So, I mean, I'm 34 now. So I've been making music and writing for a long, long time. So that, I would say, I've honed more than anything. Like, I'm at a point now where, I've ghostwritten for some other people that needed it, or helped them out. I've helped, back in the day when I was rapping with the homies that weren't taking it seriously, they would basically turn in their verse, and I would kind
kind of tighten it up or fix some shit for them, or, you know, make it sound good. And so that's kind of always been my job, is kind of, you know, proofreading or writing or creative writing. I actually ended up in I end up in crazy situations, bro. I got paid to write a rap for like an office job that I had. They were launching some new like computer program, and they wanted a fun way to kick it off. So they ended up paying me and flying me out to Connecticut to like meet the CEO of the company and stuff, because I wrote this stupid little rap that I just like spit over a Dr. Dre beat or whatever. But so I've written like corporate office raps. I wrote this dude hit me up because he wanted to try to get his girlfriend back, and he wanted to spit her a rap song. So he paid me a couple $100 to like ghostwrite him a whole rap song. He told me like about things they had been through in their relationship that he wanted in there, and I never followed up with him. I don't know if he got the girl back, but I got paid. So you know, at that point, good luck to you, buddy.
Good luck.
But so writing and performing, and that's always been my main love. And so that, I would say, I'm a highly trained and skilled individual when it comes to that. As far as the back end stuff that I've had to learn to kind of support that, like I say, when it comes to trying to find my vision and express my vision, I have trouble putting that in other people's hands. So album art, I've done pretty much all of our album art and single art for mine and Zach's music that you can find on Spotify or whatever. So, you know, any album art that you see up there, with very few exceptions, was done by me. I do all the distribution of the music and uploading everything and making sure everything's the right size. You know, when it comes time to order, you know, CDs or whatever it is, making sure all the graphics and inserts and inlays for all that is right. I do with the podcast, I edit all of our episodes. So, you know, Brennan will get me the files, and I'll go through the whole episode, make sure everything matches up, add, you know, fun little graphics and things if we're playing a game or whatever, do all the intros and outros. So, you know, video editing, I'm very comfortable with. I've done 3 or 4 music videos. I've done like a lot of our just like bar videos that go on Instagram that just, you know, have little edits with captions and things. And so, like I said, it's hard to build a team. It's hard to find people that you can rely on to do this stuff. And at the end of the day, because of like, I feel that pressure on me of like, somebody's got to do this. Might as well be me, because I know what it looks like in my head, and I can do it. Yeah. I've just kind of had to fail upward. I've never took any like classes at a school for how to do this stuff. Everything I've learned is off of YouTube and just being kind of self-taught. But, you know, I've learned how to edit in Final Cut and Photoshop and Illustrator and Procreate and all this stuff. So, you know, I got to shout out you. I've told you this before, years ago, when you probably didn't even know who the fuck I was. Cody took me over to your spot to come see you when you were doing like Third Kind designs and stuff.
It was probably Third Kind apparel at that time.
Yeah. I remember seeing, though, you had like it was like a Rasta, like spaceman. It was like a 3-colored spaceman with the green, red, and yellow. I remember you had that.
The Rasta knots.
Yeah, the Rasta knots. Okay. And I thought that was so fucking dope. I was like, wait, you did this? Like you know, and you hit me to, back then it was like the Wacom tablet, the drawing tablet. But you showed me that shit. And I went immediately that week and bought one. Yeah. And started fucking around with it. And now, like, I do everything on the iPad because it's just easy to have the Apple Pencil and Procreate and sketch it all out there. Yeah. But bro, you kind of got me started on that part of the journey of like, I saw you doing it and I was like, motherfucker, I bet I could do that. You know what I'm saying? I bet I could probably do that. Yeah. So yeah, you were definitely a little stepping stone or kind of a building block for all that. But yeah, man, I kind of look at things like, why not me? Why couldn't I do that? I bet I could probably put that together. And I try to tackle it. And some will say, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. If you're focusing your energy in this many different directions, I struggle with that. You can't possibly be that good at any one of them. Right. But I mean, I get a lot of good feedback. I actually had to. Good enough. Yeah, I had to sit down with Zach one day and tell him, like, bro, when I send you album art, I need you to critique it. I need you to be like harsh. I need you to tell me, like, bro, this kind of fucked up. This could be better. And so we had to have kind of a building and learning process for that, because we've both been used to people dealing with people that bring a lot of ego into the conversation or bring a lot of feelings into the conversation. It's like, dog, I don't hate you as a person. We're just trying to put out quality work, and like, you can't. This ain't it, bro. This ain't it. You got to go back to the drawing board, or you got to fix this. And some people take that harsh, you know. Some people can't put aside
take
that
the constructive criticism.
Yeah, so Zach wasn't really ready for that, and so me and him, I've had to kind of put it in his head multiple times, like, dog, I'm not gonna get offended. I can take it if you send me back to the drawing board or tell me, nah, this ain't it, or tell me whatever, Like as a graphic designer, you're looking for one of three responses when you show them the design. You're looking for, yep, that's it, no, that's not it, or wow. And you kind of want the wow every time. But if I don't get the wow, bro, I'm gonna go back and shoot for the wow again, or at least the yes. You know, like I gotta get honest feedback. So. But I think that's made me a better designer and a better editor and content creator all around. So yeah, that's kind of it. Anything you need to do in the content creation space, as far as video editing, editing for graphics or album art or flyers or whatever it is, like I can comfortably handle all that and have a portfolio that speaks for itself.
All right.
So
yeah, man. Iyzlow Matisse Design up in the house, yo.
Yeah. I need to come up with a catchy name for it. I don't have a catchy name for the business yet, but it's actually kind of interesting, man. I was working a day job to support the family, and I had worked for this company for a decade. I was work from home since the pandemic. So the last 4 years, I've been working from home pretty much. And I have their little monitor set up in the basement where I can answer my requests and do all the things for them. And then I got my editing machine where I can work on all of our graphics and all of our stuff. So I was able to kind of do double duty and spend a lot of time really honing my craft and working on this side thing while I was working for the company. Well, a couple weeks ago, this company I worked for 10 years, very unceremoniously on a Tuesday, decided to lay off my entire department. So as of a couple weeks ago, I'm out of the safety net day job that I've had for 10 years. And honestly, at first it's a little anxious. At first you're like, oh shit, I got to make sure the kids are taken care of. I got to take care of my family. But I was way overdue for the slap in the face to kind of get me out of spinning my wheels, doing the easy thing. I've been doing the easy thing at a company with no room for advancement or growth, not looking to become a company man and get promoted, not really any option to get promoted. Same salary, very incremental, couple cent raises every year, just fuck you type, couple cents for doing your job or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I needed this, honestly, to kick my ass into whatever the next thing is. And I can't see myself treading water at another office job for the next 10 years.
So do you think you're going to kind of let the boats burn and go full in on what you got going as far as your music career and maybe potentially design business? Or
I've put a lot of thought into that, and like I say, I'm opening myself. This week is really the first time where I have all my ducks in a row with all that stuff, and that's all fully the chapter on that shit is closed. You got a lot of stuff to kind of tie up when that happens and get stuff in place. So I was telling Brennan before the show started. This week is the first week that I'm kind of looking to open myself up to commissions and taking on new jobs and looking at working with new people. And
this
just kind of
perfect timing.
Exactly, it's fate. So just kind of seeing how that goes. I have some other irons in the fire as far as if I'm just looking at stacking as much as I can right now. I've got a couple of sales job opportunities where I could jump back into just really using my mouthpiece to cash a commission check and put some money away to really take care of my family. So that is kind of waiting in the wings for me if I want to go that route. But I think because of just how much time I've spent chilling, essentially, not chilling, but chilling as far as the day job is concerned, and just accepting good enough for that, which I don't think is an area of your life you should accept good enough. You know what I'm saying? As far as how it affects your paycheck and your living situation and stuff like that. You got to kind of grind for more, want more. I've been able to use the time on the side to up my other skills as far as design and development and editing and all those things. So I do have a good portfolio to move forward with. I'm kind of testing the waters on both right now. I have an option to pursue my own business if it looks like it's going to be successful. But I think it starts with taking a couple of these commissions on, working with a couple of really solid clients that want return business and keep coming back, and just kind of building from there and seeing how that goes.
Word, man.
So that's where we're at right
now. We could talk off camera, but with Third Kind Design, there's always opportunities for work for you to make money there. And that would just be like for clothes and whatnot that I produce for clients. You know, if you're got a client that's like, yo, can you do me some t-shirts? We just work out you to get a commission on the sale. You know what I'm saying?
Easy.
So like something like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, we can definitely
because there's a lot. Anyway, my point of bringing that up is that I've been doing, you know, this shit on my own for 6 years. And so it, you know, it's been hard, bro, at times, like not having those steady paychecks, you know, working full time.
Yeah.
I do side work out at my parents' property, and that's because it helps me stay grounded. And my mom needs a lot of help out at the property. So I have that little bit of income. I work out there 2 days a week, and it just helps me stay grounded, like getting my hands dirty, doing actual labor work. Like it's really good for me. But beyond that, you know, and that just has been hit and miss until recently, where I've like kind of like me and my mom set up a real schedule to just keep her at peace with when I'm going to be there, how it's going to work. You know?
Yeah.
And that's just like, that's just real. You know what I mean? That's what I have to do at this time to make some ends meet while I've been in this period of time where I'm figuring out how I want to shift the businesses and reactivate city chapters as far as merchandise goes. So like you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
It's good for you, bro. I mean, honestly, like that's the thing is really separating, you know, any kind of ego or pride or whatever from it, and just being willing to do some shit that's humbling, you know, keeping you grounded, keeping you connected to family and stuff like that. There's no need to feel any type of way about that, bro, because like that's is good for you.
If I'm going to work for anybody and I have the opportunity to work for my family, like I'm going to choose family every time. Like, why would I go work for corporate or
I've spent the last 10 years at a corporation that didn't give two fucks about me, bro. Exactly. Let me go, like I say, without even a thank you on a Tuesday after a decade of service. So it's like corporations ain't gonna care about you, bro. Mom's got you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's I like that. Respect for that.
Yeah, it's, you know, I just see that's like that's the best place. If I'm gonna have a job, that's the best place I can, because, you know, I'm fortunate enough to do so.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And making her home look beautiful is also a joy for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I, you know, just going on the jack of all trades thing, it's, I don't know, you're inspiring me in some ways, because sometimes recently I've been struggling with getting enough energy to just do one thing. You know what I'm saying? And slowly I'm just like been building up the energy again. You know, for you, obviously having children, for my homies and everybody I know, it's a huge driving factor. Do you feel like when you had children, your hustle upped? You know, you've had children for a while now, but was there a difference for you when you had children?
I feel like it kind of had to, because
it's mandatory.
It is, man. It is, because it's no longer about you. It's no longer about what's good enough for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think about, like, I'm setting the standard for what's good enough for them or what they're striving for. So I want to instill those good values in them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and it's crazy because they say kids will change you or whatever. And some of it is your mindset in changing the way that you are interacting with this person, because now you're influencing a person and they're learning how to interact with people and how to, like, just be in this world from you. So you have a responsibility there. But there's so much, like, little shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it was just me and my wife, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you get tired. Sometimes you've been drinking or hanging out. I'll go to bed without remembering to brush my teeth. I don't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? I gotta put on for them and be like, yo, it's time to go brush our teeth. You know, even little shit like that. So it'll start with little stuff like that, where you'll get this, like, nagging feeling in your brain of, like, oh, you can't just, like, fuck off the little stuff anymore. You have to be active and participating most of the time, you know? So that will kind of start to change your mentality around things. And like I say, it starts with small things like brushing your teeth, but then it ends up with, like, okay, well, how do I want to teach my children how to interact and engage with money? Like, how is money going to have value to them? Like, are they just going to put it in their piggy bank and it's going to be like a weird thing where they don't know if something costs $4 or $400, if it's expensive or not? Like, money's just money to them. And So you then start thinking about these more important like hierarchies in life of how things how you want things to be and how you want them to view things. And I got two daughters. I got an 8-year-old and I got a 2-year-old. And their mom is very strong-willed, and she wants to raise, fierce warrior women that don't take no shit and can boss up just as much as any man out there can. And so that's something that like when I was coming up, the household was very different. It was very traditional, like man goes to work, the wife, or in that case, my stepmom, because my mom and my dad weren't ever married, but like the mom stays at home and makes the food and does the laundry and does all the stuff. And I've had to adjust a lot of the things that I saw growing up. And my wife, I credit to her, I love her to death because she makes me a better person every day. She has challenged a lot of those like preconceived things in my head that I saw growing up that I was just like, oh, it's good enough for me. It's good enough for, like good. What was good enough for me growing up isn't good enough for my kids anymore. Like I can't just look at a situation and be like, well, I did that and I was fine. And, I'm not trying to pass along, some of the same preconceived notions and traumas or whatever that I might have carried, or baggage that I carried, growing up and had to overcome onto them. So that's one thing as far as your hustle, your mentality, the way that you approach things, the way that you want your daughters to see you approaching things. There's songs that I've made years ago I don't ever want them to hear, that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to change a lot of the way that you're attacking problems of the world. And on the other hand, sometimes you make a bad call. My daughter, she's 8, for months. Her birthday's October 29th. She loves scary shit. She loves it, but she's scared of it because she's 8. She has been begging me for months. We've had conversations over and over again. Dad, will you let me watch Child's Play? Will you let me watch Chucky? I want to watch Chucky. Like, I really want to watch it. I've watched other movies that are kind of scary. I've watched, things that are my age scary. I want to watch a scary movie. Can we watch Child's Play? And I had kind of mentioned it to my wife. We had talked about it a few times. I thought she might be kind of open to the idea. I was under the impression she had been open to the idea. Maybe that was my own perception of the situation because of what I wanted. Yeah. So literally yesterday, we sit down and my wife and my other kid, my 2-year-old, they're in the bedroom. She's putting her down for a nap. I'm like, you want to watch Child's Play? You want to do this? Like, I'll sit here with you. I'll explain everything to you that you need. Like, we'll do it together. So we sat down. We got through about half of Child's Play together, and my daughter was loving it. We were having a great time, snuggled up watching a horror movie. She's watching a slasher doll fucking doing his thing. My wife comes out the bedroom from putting the kid down, and she was not happy. She was not having it. She could not believe that I would do that. So sometimes you miss the mark a little bit, but I want to be a good dad, and I want to be a good role model and a good steward and a good all these things. Sometimes like I just want to hang out with you though. Like, can we just hang out? Can I involve you in some? Like, I've always tried to involve my kids. I had my daughter up on stage with me at a show at the Bartlett in front of 150 people rapping, the song with me, and that's a huge memory for her. So I've always tried to involve them in like the music stuff and the art stuff and bring them places. Like, my daughter's asking me if she can come to the podcast today. I'm like, you don't want to sit here and listen to us talk for a couple hours, but she always wants to be so involved. So sometimes I'm like, man, can we just hang out? Can we just watch Child's Play? Is that, oh, you're 8. No, I fucked up. So, it's not perfect, but it's a learning experience. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I think, my time hasn't come yet to have children, but I can just feel if I ever do, like, that shift of it not being about me anymore and having a deeper why. I think that's a big reason for people's, like, there's something about the beauty of having a child and how that changes you and how that motivates you if you're a person seeking to grow in life. You know what I mean? And are seeking to become a better person in life. Like, having that child is going to be one of the biggest accelerants that you could probably ever experience in this life.
And those new challenges can be exciting, and it's like it's something new that you never really expected every day. I think, like, I was always kind of the type that was like, oh yeah, it doesn't change that much having kids. People are like, oh, having kids changes you. You'll never be the same. And then like someone put it to me like, bro, once you have a kid, Like you literally, even once they grow up and you did a good job and they move out and they're on their own, you literally are going to be worried about that person or care about that person or be thinking about that person every day until the day you die. Like that literally is a 100% change from the person you were the day before you had a kid, because now you've got this person out there that's going to rely on you until the day you're dead. Like they will outlive you. So you now have this person in your view that you're attached to every single day the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's permanently changing. That's going to be permanently altering the way you move and the way you do things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And if it doesn't, like you got some serious problems.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you, I think last time we talked, I was telling you about that book that I was reading. I hope I sent that to you, but it's Children of Emotionally, I don't know what the word is. It's basically like people whose parents are like kind of narcissistic or only care about themselves or are really like self-focused and don't do enough to pass on these lessons to their kids or act like having kids doesn't have to change the way they live their life drastically. And I know my wife was raised by one of her parents that was like that. I also had some issues with both of my parents around that, where, you know, things sometimes didn't really feel like as much about me as a kid as they should have. You know, or where I was just kind of along for the ride for whatever this big person wanted to do for themselves and put me in situations a kid my age probably shouldn't have been in, or that kind of a thing.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so
had a lot of that from my dad.
Yeah. And then when you grow up, you kind of have to like evaluate, like, okay, you know, I did survive and I'm a product of how I was raised, and I wouldn't change anything because I like who I am now. I fuck with myself as a person, you know, and so all of that experience, good, bad, whatever, has combined to make me the person I am now. But is that going to be what I want to pass on? Is that going to be what the mark I want to leave on the next generation? You know, so you kind of have to learn some of the things to do and learn a lot of what not to do, you know.
Well, the fact that you think about it gives you a higher chance than most, you know what I mean? Because I think there's a lot of people that do think about that, but I also know there's a lot of people that don't, you know, and it's a lot of like parents, people are self-centered, you know what I mean? It's really all about them. Even what they do for their kids, it's really about them. Like, oh, I did this thing for my kid that makes me a good dad or mom, you know what I mean? Like, they're always doing things, but it's really for their own. Yeah,
like I could be having my daughter in like writing classes and music classes. Like, if I don't make it rapping, you gonna be a star. You know,
you're
like
living through them.
Yeah, trying to force your dreams on them, or like, you know, like I had hoop dreams, so now my son got to be a basketball star. Or like, you know, I see that happen a lot, and it's tough,
and it's easy to happen. I get it, but you know, it sounds like me and you, like, we're deep thinkers. You know what I mean? So it's hard for us not to be aware of what is my impact on the younger generation, on people around me, on my kids, you know.
And that transition can be kind of hard because, like, when they're first born, they don't really have a personality. They're just kind of a baby. They cry, they poop, they eat. You know, that's really all they do. But as they start to grow, and as they start like my 8-year-old, she loves stuff that I can't stand. And vice versa. I'll try to show her stuff. I'll be like, oh, this cartoon or this show was hitting when I was a kid. And she'll be like, Dad, this is so stupid. I hate this. And I'll be like, no, you can't hate this. This was the best shit. This is a classic. You know? And it's like you get to this point where you realize, oh, this is a person. This is an individual person with individual wants and needs and dreams. I can't just make her like all the shit I like. I can't just make her be a little version of me. It's not going to be that. It's a person. So you have to kind of get to a point where you start respecting that person and helping foster the things that they're into and the things they want to do. And
that's just great relationship advice all around for anybody that you have in your life. Yo. Like you got to let people be who they are, and you can't expect them to be who you want them to be. You know, like we do that with, obviously, mostly that's going to happen in a close, loving relationship, you know, with, you know, a mate or with your children, probably those would be the two. But it happens in all sorts of facets, you know, of relationships. So yeah,
I think just
something I've had to learn.
Being able to step back and understand that, everybody's got their own things. It might suck that they don't like the thing that you like, or like you were so hyped to show them something because you love it and they just can't stand it for whatever reason. You kind of got to take those hits and keep rolling. But yeah, it's always weird when I see people in relationships or in you know, a parental situation, like trying to force their partner or their kid or whoever it is into doing the thing that they want to do. And you could tell like they're just uncomfortable, not having a good time. Like this isn't for them. Like, you know.
That's a sure way for that person to be pushed away from you and rebel against you. Like it's just, that's what's gonna happen.
No, for real.
Most likely, unless they're very passive.
No.
But even so, they'll find out another way that's maybe passive to them, but they're gonna rebel in some form. You know.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, that's good. We'll take a break. What's going on? We're back from a little break. Iyzlow Matisse is going to bless us with a little performance with a new song. Yeah. Tell us about it and let's get it going.
The song's called Lows. It's just something I was feeling sometime about, you know, we all go through ups and downs and struggles and periods of, you know, trying to figure shit out. I'm going through one of those myself. It sounds like you're coming out the other side of one of those. And I feel like it's important to not like run away from the bad times and the hard times and let that experience kind of, you know, help us grow. So it's the song's called Lows, and the whole thesis or theory behind it is like, don't hide from those lows. Don't be ashamed of them. Like, use them as a tool to get you where you need to be, because they're a big part of who you are. You know what I'm saying? It can't all be, you know, roses and unicorns and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
So this is an unreleased song. I just wanted to share it with y'all. I know it's not your usual format to do a song, but yeah, I had it in the tuck and been wanting to share it with people. So yeah, let's preview it here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We all go through them hard times and struggles, like I was saying, but it's important not to hide from the bad shit. Look. Why you stay hiding from your lows? Shouldn't be hiding from your lows. You probably thinking that you're past that, and really ain't no need to backtrack. Yeah. That's why you stay hiding from your lows. Shouldn't be hiding from your lows. Take pride in your lows. Good and bad, we can ride with them both. Cause everybody knows if you just accept it, let it go, it'd be the type of thing we'd laugh at. Looking at those memories on Snapchat, back on how it used to be. There ain't no need to front, Bobby, it's just you and me, and we can talk to each other without covering our secrets. So take off that mask, let me peep it. You don't need to be ashamed of the way the shit played out, or the game that was rained out you showed up to play. If I had it my way, when I look into your eyes, I wouldn't see no type of pain in your face. This life will be all roses, but you don't always get a say. Some days you just bob and sway with the ocean. You take the commotion and calm, hold them both in your palms. Look at them, no cause for alarm. Don't harbor your feelings, just harvest your seedlings, cause everything you gather adds crops to the farm. Everybody grow through what we go through. Nourish your soul, give it that whole food. It takes a couple bold moves just to get it right. It's simple, but I know you got it in you if you give it time, alright? Hold up. Hey, let me repeat, I know you got it in you if you give it time. Cause even though that bad shit behind us, we can let it remind us that all those dark clouds are silver lined. Yeah, so why you stay hiding from your lows? Shouldn't be hiding from your lows. You probably thinking that you're past that, so really ain't no need to backtrack. Yeah, and that's why you stay hiding from your lows. Shouldn't be hiding from your lows. Take pride in your lows. Good and bad, we can ride with them both. Here we go, like, yeah. That's all I got for you right now. What? Just a little preview.
Ooh,
you know
preview.
What I'm saying?
Only here on City Chapters podcast.
Yeah. Had to take him to church one time. I appreciate that.
Yo, that was fire, man.
Thank you, man.
I can't wait for that song to drop.
Thank you, man.
Yo.
Yeah, I've been holding it back for a little while, and we've been working out, you know, the release schedule, release date for that shit, but it's coming soon. And I just felt like the message was crucial, especially with what I've been going through, you know. And it sounds like you've been maybe going through some of the same shit too. So it's perfect timing to share it.
Those are my favorite types of songs.
Yeah,
bro. Like especially within hip hop, like I like the way hip hop delivers the message through music, you know, and like when it's about self growth and it's done right, man, that's what resonates with me the most.
Hell
you
yeah,
know,
man.
like Larry June has some good ones.
Yeah, he does. I like Larry June, man. He talks a lot of bullshit about, you know, $13 organic orange juice, but he's got a lot of fiscally responsible, you know, bars about getting yourself involved in real estate and leveling up and doing all these things. So I'll fuck with Larry, man.
He be talking about that luxury orange juice, but you know, I appreciate that kind of music, man.
Thank you, man.
That's like what I was telling Change when he was on, is that like I've had a yearning to do music, but I never knew exactly how I'd want to go about it. You know, and when I was younger with the homies, like we'd be talking about what young homies talk about.
Of course.
Bullshit. And I never was like, I could never put that out. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't. And I recorded a few songs just to play with the creative side of it. But, you know, as I became a young man now in my 30s, it's like if I were to do music, it has to have messages like that in the music. Because I think we just need way more of that.
Absolutely.
Like you still bringing that hip hop flavor, that, you know, that realness, but it's with a message that's about real life, you know. And man, that I couldn't help but smile that whole time, bro. That beat, that cadence, everything about that song is hitting, bro.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Yeah,
I might say that's the one for me, bro. Like that you put out. I've listened to quite a bit of you. I don't know if it's the full catalog I've listened to yet, but that one was hitting, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Really
thank you.
That. So is that going to be a solo for you?
Yeah, it's a solo for me. That's just trying to build up my catalog. Zach's been dropping a couple of his little solo songs and shit lately, so I'm trying to keep up with the homie and do that whole thing. But yeah, we got different vibes, man, and I think that's why we've always worked together so well, is because the vibes complement each other really well, and he'll kind of, you know, bring me over into the more, you know, like laid back and you know, not taking life so seriously kind of side of things.
For sure.
And that was something I desperately needed, because all the music I was making before him was like, bro, I was so, you know, I was so dead set on like, my music is going to change the world. I'm going to talk about how politics is fucked up, and I'm going to talk about how this and that and blah, blah, blah. I'm really going to get into the shit. And like, some of that stuff is dope, but I don't know. I think back to when I was like 15, 16, making my first songs, and I'm listening to like Immortal Technique and all these guys that are making like hard hitting political music. I think the first song I ever actually cut was like a fuck President George Bush song or something like that. So, you know, I definitely need Zach to kind of balance me out. It's kind of the yin and the yang. Like I'm more of a like the serious messaging side of things, and he's more like a let's just have fun with it kind of, you know, but we kind of give and take on that as well. So I'll bring him song topics sometimes, or ideas for shit that he never would have thought of, and vice versa. So I think that's always really worked out well. But it is kind of cool also to, now that we have such a long catalog and a long history of all this collaborative music, in the last year specifically, we've really kind of branched out and started doing our own things to kind of self-identify a little bit more. And
because primarily you guys have only done most of your release content as a duo. Like you guys don't have solo content really out yet.
I mean, I've got like a couple solo tracks, and he has a couple solo tracks.
Prior to you guys joining together, or
no. Well, so me,
just throughout the career of you guys.
My history is complicated. He doesn't really have anything out that predates what me and him did, other than like shit you could find on like a Reverb Nation or whatever, like something like old SoundCloud or something. And I'm kind of similar, but like I was out and performing with other people here in Spokane and the surrounding area for years, since I was like 18 or something. And I didn't meet Zach.
I think I probably caught you back in the day at a show or something.
You might have. It was a little rough back in the day, and I try not to really go back in the day too much. When I was so it's sort of embarrassing, but it's the origin story. When I was in like 6th or 7th grade, I had a friend who would call me I don't know if I can say this anymore, but he would call me Chinky Mike because my eyes don't open very far. I'm not Asian at all. I'm not of Asian descent. I don't like to say that word, but back then things were a little different. You could say that word and call your friend that word, and it was no big deal.
Well, dude, it's something that you were called.
Yeah, I didn't pick it. I didn't pick it, but I can't look surprised. My eyes don't open very far, so that was the name. Eventually, the mic dropped off of it, and that just became my name. The C word became my name for years and years and years. And then I got to be like 18, 19, getting into my 20s, and like people at shows were starting to say, yo, we're not going to put that on a flyer. We're not going to like promote that name. That name's kind of rough. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I had to make a lane switch, and I had to pick something that was more crucial to me and important to me, and had, symbolism in my life. So Matisse, my middle name is Henry, but it's the French spelling. So it's got the I at the end. It's this famous painter, Henry Matisse. It's pronounced Henri because he's French. But so Matisse came from that because he's this artist that like revolutionized all these different methods of doing art. So it's very significant to me as far as what I'm trying to do, and kind of carve out my own lane and make my own significant art. And then the Iyzlow was just kind of more of an homage to the previous name that I couldn't use anymore because the eyes don't open very far. So Iyzlow Matisse became the new thing. And but I did shows and put out tons of music with the homies under the old name for years and years and years. We did shows all around town at venues and things. And then me and Zach, actually, we had a job selling cable together door to door. We were just knocking on doors selling cable, and he was my boss for a couple months. And after the shift was over, we would always head to his car and roll up and freestyle and just kind of bullshit. But he had heard one of the songs that I had made. It was just kind of a weed song that I had made with one of the homies, and the other homie that I had made it with didn't end up wanting to be on it. So I was gonna write another verse to it, and I had it as like a solo song. And then Zach was like, "Yo, I really like this. Let me jump on that." And so we just started collabing, and this was in like 2012. And it ended up that one song turned into like a whole like 19 track mixtape that we recorded in my closet, and it just kind of jumped off from there. So we did like a mixtape in 2012. Our first official album came out in 2015, second album in 2016, and then we had a bunch of other mixtapes and singles. And then the newest album, Growth Spurt, we just put out in October of last year. And I feel like after like a decade plus of working together, we've just really kind of figured out each other's sound and style. We know what we like, we know what we fuck with, and so it just makes sense. It started out as kind of just like a relationship of convenience because we both had bars and wanted to just get on songs, but like that's my dog. I fuck with him so heavy, and everything we make, I feel like just has a magic to it. And it's only recently now that I'm starting to kind of branch out, and same with him. We've had a couple like other features on other songs with other people or other little solo things that have popped out, here and there, but nothing really felt quite right until recently. So I feel like now we're comfortable enough with everything we're doing as a group that having more moments where when we do a show, we can have, one of us fade to the background and let the other one get the spotlight for a minute with their solo shit and just kill it and big them up and stuff is awesome. So, but yeah, we never had a group name or anything. It's always been ExZac Change and Matisse or Change and Matisse or however people shorten it. We were not really marketing majors or whizzes when we first came up with it. So it was just, I was me, he was him, and we were collabing. And then after 2-3 albums together, it's like, what are we going to do now? Try to come up with a group name? No. We're just going to be like ExZac Change and Matisse.
Eli and Grouch, like...
Exactly.
You know
there
what I
you
mean?
go.
Like, it is the duo, Change and Matisse, and it sounds good too. So, Iyzlow Matisse sounds great. I always like to know how people got their names and how they came about. So, it's cool how you shared it.
It's the history, man. I can't run away from the history. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Like, it
made me who I am now, and I'm like, I got no regrets about it. So, I just feel like we're in such a good place musically with the shit we create together, and then it's easier now than it ever was to kind of bounce back to doing a more solo thing. Like, I still myself, I don't know if Zach feels differently, but myself at least, I don't know if I see like a solo album in my future necessarily, but I do like when a beat speaks to me, like the beat that I found for Lowe's with this producer that I was fucking with. It spoke to me, and it was one of those things where I didn't have like a flow for 8 bars and then had to walk away from it. Like the whole thing came out at once. Like it was just there. It was like it was meant to come out of me at that point in time, because the way the beat spoke to me and the shit I was going through at that point in time. And I find that like when I can really tap into that, I create my best music.
That was, dude, that song was awesome, bro.
Thank you, man.
And yeah, the whole message, all the bars, I was just like, oh man, I wanted to be dropping like we was on the LA Leakers or something. Like, whoa,
world premiere. Yeah, no, that's what's up. I appreciate that, man. I hope the listeners will appreciate it too, because that's something I've been wanting to share for a while. We've been kind of going back and forth on what the release date's looking like, or if we're gonna do like a video, or what's gonna happen. And I'm just like, you know, it's that end of it, when you take this beautiful thing you've created and then are trying to figure out like, how do I market it to people? What's the rollout? What's that look like? Is there a video? Is there this? Is there that? All that shit. It kind of, you lose that original, like, beautiful message. So I feel like just being able to bring it here and share it with you, and just being like, you know, fuck all the shit. Y'all will get it when you get it in its official form, but I need you to get the message now, you know? So it's therapeutic for me in a way. So I appreciate you for letting me share.
And it was therapeutic for me to see you perform, to see how much, you know, like real love and passion you have for that song, for
Thank
real.
You, man.
And like
first time I performed that shit for Zach, he was like, I feel like I just left church, bro. I feel you just took me to church.
I'm like, all right, you took us to church, man. You took us Sunday morning and night.
Hallelujah.
Yep. That's cool, man. And that was, the first song performed on the City Chapters podcast.
Man, what an honor.
What a song to drop on here. So
yeah. I just felt right, man. Everything we've been talking about, like I say, my journey, your journey, everything we've gone through and where we're at now, I feel like the message is impactful and relevant. And like I said, I hope that the audience will, you know, resonate with it as well, or that they'll, you know.
Well, yeah, it resonates with me a lot, because I think a lot in life, we feel like there's something wrong with us when we're not doing well, and it's hard to accept like our lows.
Yeah.
Like as if we're failing as a person because we are in a low state of being, you know, and it's hard not to feel that way, but that's the ebb and flow of life, you know. And how I try to look at it is, you know, I think a lot of people identify like depression with how I have been experiencing life for a while. Like, oh, he's probably should be clinically depressed, you know what I mean, in certain aspects. But to me, how I look at the lows and stuff is just like, I'm learning lessons, man, about myself, and they're hard as fuck. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, hard as fuck, but like I'm learning and I'm trying to listen to why I feel this way, and like the things that I have to do to adjust through these lows, you know, because there's lessons in the hard stuff. There's lessons in the lows, you know.
There is.
In the bad stuff, that's probably where you learn the most. Every great person that's overcame a lot, that's what they're gonna tell you. The most you're gonna learn is from the hard times.
Yeah.
Like you're not.
Well, that's when you really find out like what you're made of. You know what I'm saying? When it's easy street and you're coasting, like that's cool and it feels great.
Yeah.
But you're not really like testing your metal. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not really figuring out. You know, so when you have to go through the shit and you have to learn some tough lessons and roll with the punches and pick yourself up and that sort of thing, like that all makes you a better person. That's what really enables the growth, or like helps that level up, you know? So when you look back at it, it's like, it's hard not to initially or like instinctively feel some shame about like, oh man, I really fucked that up, or oh, I didn't do that the way I wanted to, or oh, I'm worried about how people perceive that, you know, because of the ego and the anxiety and that sort of thing. But like, if you really look back at it, you're like, yo, I learned so much from that experience. Like that was so tough and so hard. But when I look back at that and now I'm on the other side of that, like I wouldn't change a thing, because that really helped me find like the springboard that put me at the level I'm at now. or got me through that. And I learned so much about myself and what I want or what I don't want. And now I can move forward having learned that. And I don't have to go back there and learn that again because I learned that the really hard way, you know? So yeah, it's just, it's how you frame these things. Cause I don't ever want to like, I think about, you know, I don't think about death a lot. I'm in my 30s, but like, I can't imagine being on my deathbed looking back at just a bunch of regrets and a bunch of like, oh, I could have done that better. Oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have capitalized on that, or wish I would have gone a different way. It's like, bro, everything went the way that it was supposed to. And all you can do is take from that experience so that the next time you're in that situation or in that room or talking to that person or going through that, you have the tools now to make better decisions and do the right thing, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, like one of the lessons that I'm trying to learn is there's not a place in life, even when you reach enlightenment, that you're going to feel good all the time.
No.
It doesn't exist. Enlightenment doesn't mean you're going to be happy at all times. It's just how you perceive your state of being, and that you see there's a disconnect from how you feel and who you are as a person, and you can distinguish the difference between them. I feel like that's truly what enlightenment is.
Yeah.
You still have all the experiences of being a human when you're enlightened. It's just how you deal with them and your perception of them that is quite different than most people who are victims to the way they feel.
Yeah, exactly.
They let the way they feel determine how they really think about themselves, and we're not taught to think of them differently. Like how I feel in this moment does not actually define who I really am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something that I've had to come back around to again, because I've had this knowledge for a long time, but I forget it.
It's hard, bro.
My
when you're
mind
in it,
tricks
when you're
me,
in
bro.
those modes, it's
Yeah.
so hard to remember those tools.
Yeah.
You just, cause you're spiraling, you're kind of just, you're giving into that shit that you're going through. So it's hard to remember that like, yo, this is a blip on the radar of my life. Like this is not, like I could lose everything and be living in my car tomorrow. And some people might get real depressed or suicidal about that or whatever. But it's like, bro, a life is still a life. You still got so much to live for, whatever your situation is. And there's so much opportunity out there. You can find an avenue or a lane to bounce back and to get better. And on the flip side, you got people that have everything they ever wanted. They don't have to worry about money. They got a big ass house and all the things that you could ever dream for in this whole life. But it's like, do you think you ever get to a point where that's enough? Do you think you'll ever reach a point where you're no longer like critically evaluating yourself every day and like what you want for yourself and like trying to maximize these different avenues of life to really reach enlightenment or what you see as like a perfect version of existence? I just don't think that that's attainable. So I think finding enlightenment in being thankful for what you have and chalking up the bad shit to a lesson learned and that sort of thing. Like you have to kind of find this state of enlightenment that doesn't come from like, oh, I got everything I ever wanted and now everything's just set for the rest of my life. I don't think that ever is going to happen. I mean, even if you won the lottery tomorrow and never had to stress about $1 again, there's still going to be shit that you're going to try to like, oh, maybe I can make this better. Maybe I can make that better. I could be a better person. I could learn a new skill. I could learn a language. I could go here, do this, you know, like,
Yeah.
I just feel like people are constantly on the search for that stuff. And the idea of perfection is I think you can find it where you're at more than like waiting for this perfect version of reality to exist that may never exist.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest lie about the American dream is that once you attain the dream, that also means you escape
You're
the
done.
struggle of life.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why a lot of people who make it, you know, they don't feel any different, and then that can lead to bad habits, suicide. Like plenty of people that are rich kill themselves, you know, because they can't find that fulfillment they thought they were going to attain through the American dream of making it. And, you know, that's something that I've had to learn how to disconnect myself from. And I struggle with that every day. Every day is a different battle with it. But, you know, no matter what I do, as far as external work, it's never going to eradicate my suffering, my suffering is always going to exist in some form. Now, hopefully I grow in life to meet new struggles. They're not the same struggles, but struggles are always going to exist. That is a part of life. And, you know, that's a big part of Buddhism is like, you got to accept struggle.
Yeah.
But like in our society, we're basically trying to teach people that you can escape struggling if you work hard enough. It's
not gonna happen,
you know, and that's the biggest lie. You know what I mean?
It's true.
And
That's crazy.
But that's how we think about it. And so your song is really speaking to that. Like, don't run away from your struggle.
Yeah.
Like, don't be an idiot either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. Don't find glory. Maybe sometimes you can have glory in the struggle. You know, like I think a lot of times actually you can, but it doesn't also mean to like, yeah, look at my struggle. I'm struggling. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also not like to when I say, you know, like it's not to celebrate that you fucked up or that some shit crashed and burned or whatever, but it's like you have to incorporate that into your decision making going forward, but you have to incorporate it in a positive way. So it can't be the kind of thing where you're like, man, I totally fucked that up. Oh well, not worrying about that. It's like you kind of got to go like football players go back and watch the game tape and like figure out how they can do better or what went wrong here or what like there's an analysis that goes into it where it's like, yo, this really did not go as planned. I thought I had it all mapped out. You know, Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the fucking face, you know, whatever he said.
I love
like,
that
so
one.
life gonna punch you in the face sometimes, and your plan doesn't mean shit to the universe, you know. So you have to find ways to look back at those moments and be like, well, damn, where did I fuck up? Why did that fuck up? What can I do to make that not happen in the future? Like, how can I use this as a tool or as a learning experience or, you know, information that can help me make better decisions in situations going forward?
Yeah. It's some real talk, man. And the biggest thing for me is learning too, like with my struggles, not to feel victim to them. Yeah. Because I'll do that. I'll feel victim to my struggles. You know what I mean? And that like, I like all sorts of ways that I deal with victim mentality that I'm working through. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to work out where it all keeps stemming from. And I know it's past traumas from bad decisions that I made and how I was wronged by people that I loved. But it is what it is. We all have that experience. And most of us, like, I mean, if you live this life, someone's going to do you wrong. Yeah. Like, it's just how
of course.
Like, that's how it goes. So, just learning how to deal with those in a healthy way is super challenging. And so I just feel there's a lot of wisdom in your song of trying to tell people, like, it's okay to be in your struggle, to look at it. Yeah. You don't have to deny it. Yeah. But try to find how you can get a lesson from it. What is the message of this feeling, this emotion? What is your mind and your body trying to tell you about the situation you find yourself in? Yeah. But a lot of people, when they're in those situations, we all do this to some degree. Just depends on the degree that you actually initiate it, but it's escapism. Yeah. We do things to escape that feeling of being in the low, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whether it's video games, whether it's for me, it's snowboarding a lot of times in the winter. Like, I just go snowboarding to get away from whatever I'm dealing with, you know. Is that it's not the most unhealthy decision. No, but it causes
you still kind of avoiding the issue, and it can be so tough, bro. Like you say, like getting into the victim mentality when those things happen, because you like to believe as a person, at least I do, that you're mostly on top of your shit. Like you mostly got it handled, mostly got it figured out. Like so when you set forth to do something and it doesn't go the way that you wanted to do, your first instinct, or at least I know mine is, that I've had to kind of struggle with and fight is at first you're like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Like that fucked up because of all these factors, this other person or this other thing or this, like it just didn't go my way because I did everything right though, but like it just didn't go. And you have to kind of be a little more honest with yourself than that, and not saying that it's all your fault or anything like that, but as soon as you start with the justifications of like why it's not on you, or why, like, you then become that victim where you're like, well, now I don't need to learn from this, or I don't need to do anything differently because I did everything just right. It's just the universe did, or whatever. Like, you find these things to blame it on. And so, like, I got bars in the song. I know I said Bobby because you're sitting right there, but I said, baby, it's just you and me, and we can talk to each other without covering our secrets. Take off your mask, let me peep it. You don't need to be ashamed of the way the shit played out or the game that got rained out. You showed up to play, like, you showed up to do the shit, bro. You don't need to be ashamed of the way that it went. And actually, it's like I'm talking to myself, like I'm talking to my reflection. Like, I'm saying, yo, it's just you and me. You can level with me. You don't have to tell me these lies or justifications that, like, it's on somebody else, or like shit just got fucked up because that's how it is. Like, bro, talk to me. Like, take off the mask. Like, take off all the ego and all the stuff. Like, let's like level with it and figure out what we could have done better, or how we could have handled this better, or what we can gain from this to turn the L into a W next time,
The one thing I will say that I've learned, and I'll take credit for, and flex a little bit on my personal growth, is that I take accountability in everything.
Yes.
Even when I've been like, from someone's perception, like, bro, that homie did you dirty, I still find where my accountability lies in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've apologized to homies that did me super wrong for where I found my accountability in it. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that's one thing that I've been lucky to learn. Like, when I talk about my victim mentality, it's more me victimizing myself than I feel anybody is victimizing me. I'm my own victim. You know what I'm saying? I never feel really victimized by others. So that's kind of how I deal with it. Like, I'm figuring out ways to make myself a victim. It's not others that I ever feel are making me the victim typically. Like, externals don't victimize me. It's my internals, my dialogue that victimize me. But I'm not saying that I'm not victimized by others and I don't deal with that, but primarily it's me.
No, for sure.
But the one thing that I know about that too is, like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's my accountability. Yeah. I know I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I take accountability for that. I take accountability in all measures of life and find out, yes, what that person did is not justified in my perception, but I also did this thing and I could have made a better decision. If I hadn't had that many drinks, that situation wouldn't have unfolded that same way, or whatever whatever the case may be. But so I think, like, to speak to your point, just taking accountability.
I think that's huge.
Be real with yourself when you're talking in the mirror. Like, we try to tell, the mind will try to tell you all sorts of lies. You just gotta, like, know that truth and stand on that truth and call those lies out. Like, no, that's not true. I know, we all know who we really are. It's just that the mind is always trying to lie to you about that.
Yeah, it's trying to distort shit. Yeah. And there's all these weird little, like, self-preservation instincts that we have that start going off when shit like that happens. And we just have to level with ourselves in a serious way, to be honest with ourselves first. And then we have to, like, translate that honesty into how we approach the public or the situation or the people that were involved or whatever, so that, we are taking that accountability and showing our character in those situations and trying to move forward on a more positive note going forward, So I think that's all we can really do. And the fact that you and I think like that or take those steps, I mean, I feel like it helps us be better people in our family relationships, friendships, business partners, whatever ventures you're going into. Like, when you're open like that and can drop the ego and level with everybody and level with yourself especially, I feel like it helps to create more healthy relationships with yourself and with everybody.
Definitely. Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Well, we've kind of ran through most of our time, but I wanted to check in because usually we start with the backstory, but I like and have been kind of thinking more of, like, if conversations take this natural course, to let them roll. You know what I'm saying? But just a quick backstory. You're born in Spokane?
Yeah, I was born in Spokane. I was raised here until like kindergarten, first grade, and then my mom took a job over in Seattle. So then I lived in Seattle for the next like 4 or 5 years, and then came back here for junior high. Seattle, I feel like during those years when I was young and impressionable and learning about the world, just seeing the diversity over there and like it opened my eyes to like a whole other thing that I'm so grateful for, and gave me like a larger worldview. And then yeah, like I say, coming back here to Spokane and doing junior high and high school and getting involved with, like I say, the drama club and the improv thing, which then transitioned to freestyling and set off the music thing. And I've always just been like at my core, man, I've just been kind of a people pleaser in general. So I think that also like lends itself to why I end up doing so much shit, because people are just kind of like, well, can you do it? And I don't want to say no. I don't want to tell people no. I like hosting. I like having people over. I like to make sure, can I get you anything? Oh, I got everything on tap. Like whatever you need, it's all figured out. You know, I like that. That brings me joy, is making sure other people's needs are met and taken care of. And that kind of strokes my ego. And, you know, I want people's perception of me to be that. So that's part of the reason why I think I take on so many different things and have learned to do so many different things, is because I just kind of want to be the guy that does it. But it also, like I say, lends itself to why I'm an entertainer at heart, why I love getting up on stage and sharing pieces of myself with people and trying to affect people and impact their lives and share positive messages with them. So yeah, that's all part of my upbringing, and shout out to my mom for taking me to Seattle when I was young to let me experience that side of life and kind of give me a broader worldview. And she's always been that way though. She was like obsessed with South Africa for years. So I learned a bunch of like Swahili and Zulu language and listened to a bunch of like their hip hop and watched a bunch of their shows and stuff when I was growing up. So I just had this like really broad world perspective that I think a lot of younger kids don't get, especially in a place like Spokane, you know? So.
What inspired your music? And like, when did you start?
So like I said, when I was probably like 15, 16, is when I really first started like putting pen to paper and writing. The focal point of that, like I say, I was already kind of dabbling with it with the improv stuff, but I have a cousin, my older cousin, James, who always wanted to rap, and he would always write. He had a studio, he made beats, and he was just doing his whole thing. So as soon as he kind of found out that I was kind of getting the bug from like the improv classes and stuff, he's like, yo, you got to come out. He lived in Seattle. He's like, you got to come out. You got to see the studio. So we started kind of recording tracks a little bit, and like, I looked up to him huge since I was like a baby. Like I looked up to this guy. He's my older cousin, super cool guy. He was always doing the cool shit. He always like was into the coolest shit. And so I was like, man, I just have to impress my cousin. I have to be this guy who will just win his approval at any cost. That was like my goal when I was young. And so that's why I started rapping and started doing my shit. And then when me and Change dropped our album Escape Plan in 2016, the whole concept of the album is like quitting your day job and refocusing on your dreams, or like, man, I got to get out of this day job or this bad situation and like really focus on what's going to propel me to the next level or make me the person who I want to be. And my cousin heard that album, and he called me up and was like, dog, this is in my top 5 hip hop albums ever. I'm not just saying that because you're my cousin. Like this, honestly, like it inspired him to leave his like shitty job at some place, and he got like a better job at Google and like totally leveled up his whole career path. Cause he's like, he does computers and data and tech and all this stuff, but because the rap thing didn't work out for him, so he got a real job. But he's like, bro, you like the day I heard your album, I went and put in my 2 weeks. Like wow. I was just like hearing that, like having that come full circle, and like the whole reason I started getting into this to have him tell me that I made something that he puts in his top 5 and like inspired him to make changes in his life and become a better person. Like I couldn't dream of anything else. You know, so it's just like that was such a milestone for me, and
you've already won.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I even have a line on Growth Spurt, the newest album, because I talk about learning that in 2016 and how that made me feel. I have this whole verse where I kind of dedicate to my cousin, but I'd say that the way I finished the verse is. I guess the person I looked up to was also looking up. I guess my journey finally came full circle like a hug, because it's just like, man, I've been looking up to him my whole life, and I didn't even realize that this guy was like looking up to me and the things that I was doing and the things I was accomplishing. So it's like, it really did come full circle, and I'm like giving, hugs to my cousin, man. So yeah, shout out James. Shout out cousin James, man. Shout
out cousin James.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Do you have anything else you want to share as far as projects coming and concerts, whatnot?
Yeah. So July 3rd, we drop a song called Sunscreen, Me and Change, ExZac Change. It's a anthem for the summertime about getting out and getting off the couch. And you know, we don't need no cable TV. All we need is sunshine and some sunscreen. It's called Sunscreen. So check that out. It'll probably be out by the time this is out. We're working with Brennan right now to put on a fucking amazing show for you at Lucky You on August 4th. It'll be called Above the Clouds is the theme we're going with. We got our guy Jazz Boyd doing some crazy set design that I can't wait to show y'all. Yeah. And we're bringing out our homie Owl Green, Owl OWL, not Al Green. I'd love to bring a soul and Motown legend out, but Owl Green, he's super dope. He was on the album Growth Spurt with us on one of our songs, but he's just got a super cool vibe. So he's coming up from the Bay Area to rock with us. And then we got our other homie who is in like Tri-Cities area, Seattle area, Dank Zavala, who's rocked a couple of shows with us. It's just a super dope cat, super lyrical, real insightful. He's going to open up the show with us as well. And so, yeah, we're just trying to create a real, you know, floaty vibe for y'all and give y'all some summertime music. So if y'all are around in August, please check us out at Lucky You on August 4th. And yeah, other than that, man, follow me on all my socials. I'm Iyzlow Matisse, IYZLOW. I guarantee if you type in like 4 of those letters, I'll pop up because ain't nobody else got a dumb fucking name like Iyzlow. You can call me Matisse when you see me in the streets. But yeah, Iyzlow Matisse on Instagram and all that other stuff. And I'm going to be taking commissions. So, you know, if y'all need editors for your podcast or your Twitch channel, you need album art, you need flyers, you need someone to ghostwrite a verse for you so you can get back with your ex-girlfriend, hit my DMs, man. I'm working. I'm out here. Thank
That's
you, Bobby.
my dog.
Yeah.
Iyzlow Matisse. And I'm Bobby J. This is City Chapters Podcast. Till next time.
Appreciate y'all.